So the first screen I'm on here is a parent account, as if this would be your account, and you might have lots of children that are working for you diligently on various projects. So what we're going to do is to go into one of the child accounts and take a look at the features and tools that are
Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an organizer and may now speak to any other organizers or panelists on the line. When you are ready to begin the presentation, press the Start Broadcast button on the GoToWebinar control panel to allow all attendees to hear you. This system will notify you once you begin your broadcast.
Function for lots of different things, and without boring you with a maze of all of these things, you can look at them later. Let's go actually take a look at them right now. So the first thing I want to show you is a really cool tool we added called a writing style contest, and it is an ability for you to quickly launch basically the same order to three different writers, having them compete for your business. You need to add you need to select writers on your love list to be able to do that. But basically what it's doing is it's placing a 6-star order at 10 cents per word to these three writers that will compete for your business. So there is still a cost to it. So fill out the data like you normally would. It's a slightly trimmed down version of the order form, just so you know. So it's really just meant to be more of a testing ground. You can add rule sets, something your team members may already be using. Rule sets are fabulous opportunities to literally require that the writer perform a task for you. For example, I want this article to be researched and linked to the following 10 different articles. So those are some of the things that you can do with rule sets that you may or may not be aware of. You can add a new creative brief in this order. So it's got the core functionality of an order, and that will go out to all three talent. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. And here's another fun tool called the buyout contracts. When you elevate up to the higher level of enterprise software and the private charter service that you're in, you can actually buy out contracts from writer access writers and work with them directly on your own. We wanted that feature to be in because a lot of customers have sensitive information or documentation or need to work directly with a writer. We wanted to have enable customers to have the ability to do that.
That's great. Actually, I was going to, last year, when I was using a writer, I was actually inquiring about potentially buying someone out.
Nice.
Put that feature in there. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it was an interesting decision, just so you know, on whether to do that. But I think that there are certain situations that you want to test writers and work with them more on a freelance basis and have us take care of everything, the payroll, you know, the whole bit, and working through the platform. But there are other times that you have specific needs. So we're good to know that you like that opportunity. Glad we did it. So let's go to place orders now. A couple of new features in here. You've stepped up, as mentioned, the software level, so that gives you full access to
I think it's more.
And by the way, I'm going to have Tammy, I'm going to have you mute your line, Tammy, if that's okay. Those of you in the background that are listening in.
Yep.
That was cool. The whole echo went through the phone. That was awesome.
Nice.
So you now have access to 700,000 images in the background and that are in this. So I'll do a quick search, and these images are now all free for you to use as you wish.
Great.
You can't export the entire database, but you now have upgraded beyond the $6 per image over at Getty Images. You now have a new library called Graphic Stock, which actually they just changed their name to Storyblock. So that's an exciting new feature that will hopefully save you some money on a monthly basis. The Getty deal is still a good one. You'll find the same images on Getty that you will at Writer Access. You'll find Getty images at $30 a piece or more on their site for the high-res images, and you can buy those same images on Writer Access for $6. So new image library. There's also a video library back there as well, where you can access a portfolio of about 80,000 videos that you can access for free as well. And I got to tell you that the quality is really, really great. So take a look back there, poke around. You can also purchase hourly support from us. You need to describe the project, what you want, and how many hours you're estimating, and a full-time employee at Writer Access would be assigned to execute on that. Likely your dedicated account manager to do some work for you. Maybe someone's gone vacation, or you need to keep the workflow going. Maybe you want different things done, or image research, or some sort of consultation, or hourly work. So there's a lot of stuff available for you there. We also have conference calling ability available. For any and all that want to talk directly with writers. What's interesting about this, at the level that you're at with software, you actually get free conference calling ability. We still pay the freelancer 35 cents per minute for their time, but we have reduced that fee for you, so you can take advantage of the opportunity to connect one-to-one. We'll see how that goes. I'm hoping there aren't like hundreds of calls that happen all the time.
No.
But we had clients that were really upset that they had to pay any fee to talk with a writer that they were working a lot with. So we wanted to remove that as a possibility. But we do believe in fairly compensating all of our talent with our 70-30 split. And so we didn't want to take away the conference calling ability fee structure that they're on right now. So that's why we left that in. Let's go down to some new tools we have here. We've got a really fun industry insight tool that's great for ideation and brainstorming. You can select a particular industry and sort in a couple different ways and look at the most shared topics that will surface quickly to the top of the group that are pulled in from BuzzSumo. So it's only set up with an industry searching ability right now due to the limited API functionality that, you know, they don't want to allow us to bring in the entire BuzzSumo suite into our platform, but it does give some quick data from any industry niche that you might be want to do some ideation or some research on. We also show top influencers by industry and trending content as well. So that's how that works. So next up, we would look at a really cool little tool, may or may not be useful, but you can get some analysis of your content with a really cool tool generated by Cambridge University in England called the Psychometrics Profiler, and it will analyze your content and help you determine one of 5 different personality types that the content may correlate to. It's a neat research tool. We also have a topic finder that will allow you to quickly find the most frequently and popular tools for that people are searching for that are more questions related to who, how, what, when, where, why. And you can search by search volume and CPC price, great for quick and fast ideation. For some of your clients, we do have a language grading tool as well that looks at flush reading ease and grade levels of any content that you pop in. And that's actually built into the order form as well. Let's go to this fabulous content planning tool, which is we're really excited about. This is a new tool we rolled out that helps you primarily with ideation and workflow management on the fly. So here I've tapped in. We have somebody that helps me build a bunch of future ideas that we're thinking of, and then I go in and take a look at them, or I might come up with some ideas as this particular idea that I literally thought about this morning when I walked in on the way to work, is this concept of let's take an individual writer and have them create this whole, crushing content. One of our writers at Writer Access is one of our top performers is going to tell us, their secret sauce. And so I created this little format, and we'll then have Allie, who does a lot of our production management, find some writers that would be appropriate for this particular order. So you can save the order. What we've also added is really interesting. You can select a domain name that you want to pull keywords up from, and then you could pull a particular keyword map up if you want, and you can actually now grab the keywords for a particular customer that you're creating content for and literally copy and paste it into the required keywords for that content. So we've brought the keywords right into the spot where you're placing an order to make it easy. We've also added in buyer personas, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, and customer journey maps, which allow you to add in functionality of defining and articulating the target audience you're looking for, what their pain points are. So I'll be going over some of those in just a few minutes. So placing orders and planning for orders is getting easier, and you can keep track of what's what, even going back through the months if you want, on what's been exported versus what's been completed. So when you hit an export feature with an approved order, if you can send it, of course, over to a number of different APIs that you've configured for multiple blogs that you may be publishing on for your clients. So that'll give you a feel of what's going on looking at your planner. Here's a creative brief builder. We added some really great horsepower here to not only create a new brief and sort of hit this sort of checkboxed approach of what you want to fill out, but once that's filled out, maybe for your client, you can then download it as a PDF, send it over to your client, and get any recommendations for improvements or betterment. We also have a website called Creative Brief Wizard, which I'll maybe go to really quickly while you're on the line. This is a really cool website that we launched a few years ago for our customers to remain anonymous from writer access, but to send your clients here to actually create a creative brief. When they put their email on the bottom, you will actually send them an invitation to this, so you'll know that it's your client that has filled this out. It will get added to your inside of your dashboard in your admin area, so you can remain anonymous with writer access working in the background as part of the feature. But we also built this into this planner as well, so you can build it internally, and when you save it, it gets automatically saved to your file your archive with all of your files in it. So next up, let's go to the Journey Mapper, another really great tool. Here you can actually create a journey map and the different stages of the journey map right from the start. So you can start filling out some really great information about what customers are thinking and feeling at each stage of their journey, at each stage of the journey with one of your customers or your own site. So that becomes a really great asset to help educate and acclimate writers on the goals, the target audience, what the pain points are. It gives a really nice snapshot in this sort of click-like format with what's going on. Then we'll do a persona builder. Here you could look at an existing one we've created, but we've created a nice sort of a story approach. What's their situation, their complexity, their solutions. You can select different images you want, so you're sort of building some personality and some feel around this, and then there's lots of things you can add that help a writer really understand that particular target audience. And what's really cool about these assets is what we're doing. Well, I'll show you one more thing too. Did you just say wow, by the way? Thank you for that if you did.
No, just so many of the details there about the personas. Great.
Thank you. Yeah, so the keyword mapper, also very interesting. Here we've built a way for you to quickly add in keywords and create basically a keyword map, and so you can drop your keywords in, and here's where you can take those keywords and drag and drop them over into silos that you can create. So there's a few things you can do on this, which is interesting. You can either create silo names that may be your clients' names, or you can stay within a particular topic for a batch of keywords you're loading in. And so we could go into more detail on it, but the important thing is you're getting some data. Cost per click, search volume, what the current Google position is for that domain name, and we have a scoring device that we have put in here that is helpful for customers that want to surface the keywords that might be more appropriate to go after using some algorithmic data that basically says, all right, let's look at how I'm doing in the search engines for this particular domain name, or how this client's doing, and let's look at how their competitors are doing, and let's also look at search volume and their current position right now, and let's use a formula that says, hey, if our competitors are already in position number 1 and it's a really high search phrase and we're not even close to position 1, we should probably not go after that keyword, versus the opposite, which is, wow, good opportunity here, pretty good search volume. We're already in position, like, you know, let's say 34, and it's got a pretty high pay-per-click price. None of our competitors are getting that listing. Let's try to boost that up and become #1 at that. So we're just trying to bring a little bit of data to the table so someone can quickly look over keywords and begin parsing them out into silos so you can then see them on your order forms and quickly grab, drop them and do your job. So that's the goal there. So we have another visual workflow which is available for lower tiered clients, but we just threw it in here so people could have access to it. These are just the orders that are being produced in Writer Access, so you can get more of just a visual workflow of what's going on. Then we've got this fabulous white label portal, which we're very excited about, and we've basically, you can send your clients over to contentapproval.com, and they can then log on and basically approve any content that has been surfaced through a process that you define for them to approve. Let me show you a little bit about, you can add your logo in it as well that goes at the top of the page, so they literally think that it's a portal from your company. You can customize emails that they get, kick emails, saying here's your username and password. You know, here's notification that you have to approve something, so you can write your own kick emails that will come from you to them to notify them through our engines. You can look at your inactive clients. But one thing that's kind of cool is when you configure these, you're actually, for each client, you're configuring what the workflow looks like. Here it is right here. The workflow basically is, you can say, okay, the writer completes it, let's send it to our account manager and then go to the client. Or you can say, the writer complete it, let's send it right to the client and then have the client send it back to us, and then we can send it back to the writer. So we've let you define how you want to work with your clients, including how many approval days they have. You're stepped up to our highest level all around, so you get 14 days of approval. So once you get something, you can quickly kick it to your customer and still have plenty of days left to have your customer approve it, you know, up to 7 days. And then of course you can have, you know, all your account managers listed on here and their email addresses and all the fun stuff. So that's how the white label solution works. Now let's dive into some performance tools that we've set up for agencies as well. So we have the ability for you to set up multiple domain names and track the keywords and basically how much content that particular client is publishing at WordPress, Facebook, and Twitter. So you can track all of the content that they're publishing and then go tap into their Google Analytics account through an API and also get SERP tracking through SpyFu. So, you know, look, it's not a ton of data, but at least you can say, okay, we didn't miss a month for this client. You know, we're publishing content, that's good, and it looks like their traffic is coming up and down, and then it shows you some top traffic gainers and top positions that you've gained pulled in through Google Analytics and SpyFu as our engines, and it shows you some losers as well, so you can focus on you know, campaigns that you're losing in particular areas. So again, we're not going to reinvent Google Analytics or SEM or Moz or SpyFu, but we're pulling in enough data so you can get a quick snapshot quickly for each client that you're working with. And so API configurations, you can add multiple integrations to say any of these sites, so you can add an unlimited number of API integrations, so you can push your content directly from Writer Access over to your clients' websites. This is kind of interesting. It's accounting fields are set up back in the parent that apply to all the children. So if you want all of your orders to feature a special customer or client ID number, then you can go back over to your hub, back over to transactions, and then you actually see a listing here of all of your clients. So you could actually get reports monthly. You could put in a date range to see how much content you've published for each of your clients, so you can bill them appropriately with how much you've run through each customer. So that sort of ends my demo. We of course have resources I've popped back, well, okay, it hasn't ended the resources. I haven't ended my discussion. So a couple of
Right.
things. We've made some really cool stuff available for people on your team that might be trying to beef up their skills in content strategy. So we've got some really cool samples back here that you can download of buyer personas and Excel keyword maps and in templates and reports. My books are in here as well, the roadmap, and this is my new game plan book, which anybody can download for free. So lots of really cool assets back here that you can take a look at. And as well as all the webinar archives. I've got loads of podcasts in here, but so there's a lot of learning and knowledge in the Resource Center, so I just wanted you to be aware of that as well. So I want to toss it over to you now to ask some questions.
Sure, absolutely. That was a really comprehensive analysis. I appreciate that. Yeah, I have some questions specific to my company, and it seems like there's a lot of things that I can do, and part of it I was just sort of like looking through the different resources. It seems like one of the things we wanted to do is kind of upload some of the best of and worst of examples for each client, and it seems like we can do that using the brief. One thing that's been challenging for us is calendaring. That's like one of the reasons I was really looking for a platform is. Obviously, we can handle all the calendaring with the writers on the platform, but what if my editor needs to say, hey, I'm not going to be available for certain assignments on 3 days. Mm-hmm. What do we do? Is there a way to track that on through the writer access, or do I have to kind of track that separately?
Let me answer your first question first. Where do you store information for your clients? Say your client gives you samples or something like that. We have a file.
Love this, but can you make sure the content next time doesn't include these words or here?
Got it. So there is an upload. There is a file library where you could upload some notes or particulars for clients. So just know that is available to store everything in one place. So, and remember, each of your users might have their own file library, right? So this isn't like a master file library for everything that everyone's doing. That can get too noisy and too confusing for everyone. So each account manager that you have would have their own file structure. So, the planning aspect of it is interesting. I would love to hear some feedback from you and your team on how we can make this better, the actual content planner back here. One of the first things we're doing is we're going to make this domain-centric. So you're much like some of your analytic reports, you can choose a domain name over here. Very quickly, probably within a week or so, this planner is going to have a domain on here. So you're going to be able to, look at planning activities and what content assets have been created for particular clients, and tying that into some of the accounting fields potentially, or the analytics reports. We're trying to actually do some wireframing now to figure out how this all works together. But as to how to get some help from Writer Access, you are a private charter client of ours, right? So as such, you can go over to place an order for some hourly support, and we can dive in and help you and do what you need to do for the 3 days that someone is out. We would want you to tell us what to do,
right.
And it gets tricky if you want us to have password access to, sites. We don't mind that for private charter clients that we have deeper relationships with, but we definitely want you to just be safe and secure, and we'd rather have somebody, frankly, in your company, have login ability for a blog post. We can push blog posts that are approved. We can also, on orders, you might say, look, someone's out for a week on vacation. When we place an order, let's turn on the editing ability or the proofreading ability. So let's at least have somebody from the Writer Access team look over the content and proof it. And that would happen before you even looked at it. So it goes directly to the proofreader, and it's inexpensive. So we guarantee our proofreading like we guarantee our content. So you find a mistake and an error, and you certainly won't pay for it, and we probably fire that proofreader. Well, maybe not, but maybe they're having a bad day. But if they do it enough, our algorithms pick up on trends. But our proofreaders are great, and they are starving for work. I mean, when I say not literally, but they love. It's amazing. Proofreaders their minds want to work. They want to be proofreading. So please send proofreading orders to our proofreaders. They love it. So that's a couple ways. Yeah. The other thing you could do is contract an editor or a content strategist. We have over 500 content strategists in our platform right now, and they are ready for hourly work to contract at your convenience. So, you can hire super qualified people. You can even search for them, by geography, find someone near you. So there's quite a few ways to get some help for that particular challenge you tossed at me.
That's good. I appreciate it. I mean, I don't know if these are kind of universal questions, but I'm just going to throw them at you. The next one is, I have about 60 clients right now, and I'm looking to expand significantly. But one of the things the challenges I have is there's so many different blog posts and other content ideas I'm creating. I worry that I'm going to repeat them from client to client and also from different clients. So, I work with a lot of attorneys, and so I worry that okay, well, I'm going to write a post on car accidents for one person it's going to be similar to another. So is there a way to, it'd be great if I could have a way to see all of the blog posts or the ideas for the whole company and for individual clients in one place, or have a report or something like
that. If I had paid you money to ask that question, I would have, because we happen to have a perfect answer to that question.
Oh, good. I love it.
So this is called content analytics. It's under your performance. It's searchable by domain name. When you configure it, you're literally hooking into the client's Google Analytics account, their WordPress account, their Facebook account, and their Twitter account. Mm-hmm. And you are seeing everything that they published pulled in through our APIs so you can avoid duplicate content issues. That's basically why we built this. So there it is. That's everything we've published. This happens to be running on Writer Access. You can sort by content type, by the date published throughout the month, the number of page views.
There's all the titles. Great. Okay.
Exactly. Including telling you the keywords that have been used or not used in various posts that you've made, and the clicks using Bitly. If you use a Bitly link on any content you're publishing for any of your clients, you basically would see the results through an API we have with Bitly that you don't need to do anything on. You just literally put a Bitly link in your content, and our engines detect that link and literally pull it in. It's awesome. Pretty cool APIs there that help that. So this is where you would see all the content created from it. You can also configure the columns a little bit differently, take things off, put things on. You can study things pretty interestingly.
Okay. And if I'm not actually using the kind of the APIs to publish our content directly, but sort of exporting it, there's still a way to check out of the blog post. Because right now, what I'm doing is I'll check out the content, I will approve it, and then export it, and then I'll just email them to my personal account.
Yeah.
Can you still have the titles and stuff like that?
Yeah. So the way this API integration works is we are pulling the content directly from WordPress, Facebook, and Twitter. Okay. Uh-huh. So if you publish it on your own or the client publish it on their own, doesn't matter. We're pulling that in so you can see it here. But you do have to configure it, here. So that's how that works. So this, in other words, this isn't just writer access content. This is everything they published.
Gotcha. No, that's fantastic.
And when you look at the performance, Adam, that's what you're seeing. That's not just the writer access content. That's all of their Facebook posts.
This is cool. Yeah, this is also not only a way to obviously provide more value, but that can upsell people. Because right now, frankly, I'm handling just the content. I don't do the uploading. I don't do kind of Facebooks or keywords or analytics like that. But since you guys have this stuff all built in, it'd be a nice extra service to provide people, and in a way, to provide more value, charge more. You know what I mean? It's a great thing to have.
That's where you're going. And just let me show you one thing on that topic. When you're placing an order for content, I want to just show you how easy it is to add some Facebook posts, some tweets, you know, anything else that you need. So as quick as that, on your order for content, you have basically just, you can even, you know, limit the word count. You see what I'm saying? So you can, so really you're only buying 75 more words on that order for 8 cents a word. So you're paying $6, right? And when that order comes out, it's parsed out separately. The content is not all batched together in one chunk. It's like, here's your blog post, here's one of your tweets, here's the other tweet, here's your Facebook post. So it's very easy to export it and then quickly load it up into a Hootsuite or use even our API that we have to Facebook and Twitter to push the content directly from Writer Access over to those sites, to those particular client sites.
That's awesome. What, you know, speaking of just sort of like paying and stuff, I want, like, if I run pretty transparently, but is there a way if I bring in virtual assistants and things like that to prevent them from seeing kind of the costs for things, or is that anybody who logs in can see everything?
Pretty much everybody that logs in can see everything. That, yeah, I've never had that request before. It's kind of,
it's not a big deal because I don't really care, but I was just thinking about it like that. Like also like having access to like your credit card that they can, you know, if it's automatic.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right.
The credit card info is hidden.
Right.
So I'm not worried about that too much. The portal is, the contentapproval.com is obviously just for your clients, but if you were hiring somebody conceivably to, let me think about that a little bit, but yeah, we're not really set up that well.
Really that, especially it's like they're not actually accessing your credit card or anything. I have one thing as a general is like is there a way, I'm trying to figure out how to hook us up with a CRM, like a Zoho or something. Like I have people who are like in various stages of development, prospects or former clients, and I'd love to be able to have them on a list somewhere or figure out how to integrate them so that they're like, once they commit, hey, we want to do an order, they go right into Writer Access. And I was wondering what your other agency clients do with that, like how they hook the CRM up.
Now you're talking. Okay, this is a really cool question for you. So we have an agency that is basically built their own version of Writer Access, if you will. Wow. Mostly a front-end interface that allows their customers to log in and basically place orders on their own. Okay, they happen to focus in the automobile industry, so they take the orders in from the customer and they charge the customer and work out, you know, or, you know, they're on retainers or however they set it up from a financial perspective. But what they've done is they've used our API. We have an API that we can send over to you or any other agency that will allow you to literally place orders, you know, a whole bunch of different ways. Now, here's a few ways you can do it. This particular client takes the order from the client and has a very simple order instructions, not too dissimilar from the simple order form we have, which I can show you here really quickly, that just grabs a little bit of information, not a ton. We purposely keep this pretty tight and pretty small, right? And so you could create an API and you might not even have them select the writers. You might pre-select either a single writer that this order is going to go to or a small group of writers it's going to go to. So you would do all of the configuration on your own with each of your clients, or create your own love list of writers that would service your clients in this particular industry. So yes, you can build that out, and we've had agencies do exactly that. We've also had agencies work with their own content management platforms and to build API integrations in from those platforms directly into Writer Access using our API. You know, one secret that you might enjoy exploring as you're perhaps traveling and bored and checking things out is to download our app. we have a really amazing app that we spent a lot of time and a lot of money building that basically has all of the functionalities of our site that I just showed you. It doesn't have a lot of the tools in it. It just has the core functionality to find writers, place orders, manage the workflow, communicate with writers, message writers, and all of the core elements that you need for a workflow. I mention this because, first of all, your team members should be using the app. It's set up for parent and child relationships and multi-client, and they can log in just like they would and see the same thing they see when they log in. And that makes it very easy. But what that also will show you is the API abilities, because we had to build the API first, then we built the mobile app. You can't have one without the other, basically.
No, it's good to do it on the go. I mean, you can really run an agency from the Bahamas or wherever.
Absolutely.
Cell phone, it's amazing. I'm trying to think if there's any other big questions I have. I'm sure like there's stuff that's going to happen as we go along, but really, it's really great that, I mean, you really set this up for, like, I feel like for exactly for the kind of business that I have, like a small agency that's getting bigger. It's a lot of functionality, tons of writers, good people. I love the conference call feature. I'm trying to think of, I'm sure there are other things like that are sort of, that will come along. I mean, it looks like that I'm going to have to figure out in terms of, one thing I need to do is like have a report of all my clients. Like I said, I have 60 people who have recurring work and then new people, and trying to keep track of who is ordering what and when and how is a challenge for me. I think the calendar system that you have is great, but I think I may need to have some kind of like other CRM or something like that where I can kind of elevate people who are prospects to becoming clients and sort of track it there, and then kind of bring them in once they're ready for their content. But that's kind of something I have to do on my end, I guess.
Yeah, I would think so. I do like the transaction new feature we added in, because you'll be able to see all the activity very quickly happening from all of your clients.
Yeah.
You can also export that to a CSV and really, get, kind of remove some of the accounting hassle, but also just make sure that all of your clients are being touched and content was being created and purchased at Writer Access. The calendar view will also, and the visual workflow tool, as we set that up for multiple domain names, you'll be able to get a snapshot for what's going on. What we might do in the future is do more work with this parent account. I'm going to flip back to it right now. This is where you sort of control your master budget, but it'd be pretty cool if you had some interfaces on here that listed all your domain names and how much content was created and sort of some summary of what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like, I think some reports would be really, those kind of reports would be really helpful. Be like, okay, we've done this much for this writer, this much for this client, what's happening. But, again, it's like you already have so many features. And frankly, like you hit all the super critical ones. Like, I mean, I don't know what other kind of platforms out there do what you're doing, but this is like, I do feel like it's like custom tailored for what I'm trying to do with my.
Yeah. It's funny, most companies seems to have gone all in with the CRM or the marketing automation platform, or there's so many HubSpots, Pardots, or often but there aren't many that have said, wait, let's really focus on the talent. I mean, the end of the day, HubSpot does a really good job of telling you your website sucks and needs content, right? So the answer, we think, is content, and good content created by great writers. So, if we can move closer and closer to building the tools and the technology that you guys need, maybe enhancing the report. I don't really want to be necessarily in the analytics or the reporting business, but I want to be in here enough. And by the way, when your team first sets this up, you don't have any analytics set up on your parent account. That's why this is popping up right now. But there's a nice wizard that they'll go through, and it sort of explains to them how to set all this up. Just know this coming. But yeah, no, and by the way, we're partnered with HubSpot. We love HubSpot. I didn't mean to say that in a negative way, but content is, if we can make this workflow process easier for you, that's our mission. Great content, easy workflow, that's the goal, that's the objective.
Right, and that's something that I've been looking for. That's critical for me now, because like especially as you expand. I mean, from like I was a freelancer, and then I developed my own business, and I've built out, and I have all these clients and an editor, and it's like you need to be able to keep track of things and organize and have the workflow go smoothly, and have sort of processes and project management stuff and structures in place, which you guys have totally laid the groundwork for. So I'm excited to get rolling here.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by your concept that you helped bring us. Thank you very much, of seeing a visual on what your users are all doing. Like even this manage order series, like imagine if you could see all of your users, with how many are active, inactive, in progress, wow, somebody's falling off here. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's pending approval, and oh my gosh, they're on vacation. I forgot about that. There's 3, or you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that would be pretty cool. And then, seeing reports for all customers, maybe having some different views. Yeah, my brain is spinning, as you can see, Adam. There's more gas in the tank for ideas over here for sure. So
sure, as we develop, I mean, I can always email you, think like, hey, we'd love to see this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I know it's like when you're building something, there's always like a million someday maybe projects, but it's like, I'm happy to send them to you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. What else can we help your team with? And of course, I'm available. Mandy's on the line. You guys have a dedicated account manager in Mandy. So we're here to help you, track things along and get stuff done.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, the only thing is like, I just wonder are there any things that other agencies are doing that I should know about, or that like, that you guys normally see with agencies that are kind of building?
I think that what we're seeing is that one account manager seems to be able to manage about 50 customers as the max that any one human being can manage workflow on. So we have some very large agencies that have multiple accounts, users, like 20, 30, some big agencies, but they're working with SMBs. Those SMBs tend to be on smaller cash monthly retainers, but they've learned to scale the business very well, and so they can do ideation quickly, they can place orders quickly, but they can only do that with the tools that you just saw here. So these tools, many of them have been in place, but you need people that, and by the way, it's a very cool job. That's a really cool job. You're doing ideation, you're using perhaps some skills with editing or journalism, a little bit of optimization strategy. You're using cool tools like BuzzSumo. You're staying on top of trends. It of course helps to have specialization in different niches. We have a lot of agencies, like I mentioned, that that allows people to sort of go deep with topics, and recycle ideas and repurpose content, and be thinking long term. So you start to deliver real value for your customers, which is really what you need to do in the end of the day, by publishing consistently. Not missing that. Hey, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this is going to go live on their site. So we need to train the spider bots to keep coming back to their sites, show consistency with publishing. That's what Google is really picking up on these days, is consistency of publishing. So, that's what we've tried to help build, is those API integrations, queuing up, creating a systematic approach to content and, personalization as well at scale. The other tip to mention while I'm on a roll is this art and science of onboarding talent, okay? It's not easy, and you have to get good at it. It's a real skill here, and a science. So when you're working with writers, freelance writers on a platform like ours, you have to understand they're blind, and they don't understand what you really want. So you have to give them feedback. You have to give them revision requests on orders, particularly when you first start working with them. You need to, define really what you want well, and that's hard to do. Let me just show you something really quickly that Allie was working on. Allie did some great work. I was just reading this, and I'm like, wow, this is really good. So she created a creative brief, and oh, you know what? Let me go into the child account really quickly. users. I'll go to Ali, and let me see. Child accounts. This will just take a minute. Thanks for your patience. Good lesson here, though. So Ali created a creative brief, and it's right here. And here we go. And so it got down to sort of trying to educate and acclimate, writers on what we're looking for. So, she's trying to explain, language, irky, quirky, intellectual, boring, exciting, likable. Here's a few inspirational ideas, da-da-da-da-da-da, snap, crackle, and pop. So, we're trying to articulate to a writer that, go a little edgy here. So this really helps a writer, that helps them understand what you want. And so please take the opportunity to, to educate and acclimate writers on what you're looking for as crisply as you can. And I wouldn't cookie cutter those briefs for every single client. I would try to develop a separate tone and style that we think would resonate well. Sometimes you have to stumble upon that style from a writer that just has that voice that you're looking for, and that's why we were super excited to launch this writing style contest, to use that as early stage experimentation to try to zone in on what the style is, and then work with that writer once you sort of land the plane from 20,000 feet down to 10,000, work with that writer to really pinpoint a unique style that customer can really latch on to, that has the edge that you're looking for.
That's brilliant. And a lot of these things you're talking about is like stuff that we've done like internally, but just not as consistently. We don't have a writer style contest, but we're all like, okay, how do we find the right voice, the right writer for this particular client? This Bill is good in this kind of client. Jeff is better for someone else. And but having that tool is really useful. We have a style guide, an in-house style guide that we created, but like being able to customize those briefs per client is going to be fantastic. All the little check marks and little rule sets for people in there. I mean, one of the things that's been on our to-do list is have like, before you submit an assignment, go check these 3 or 4 boxes. Like, did you check to make sure there's no boilerplate, no fluff, like minimize the use of passive voice, that kind of thing. But having this rule sets is going to be great, because then I'll have to go check off, I did this, this, this. And then when the editor can come back and she can say, listen, you checked off no passive voice, but here you kept using is and are. Can we, in the future revise that so it's really fixed? So having that kind of highly specific feedback is going to make it a lot easier.
As it turns out, great writers like to create great content. So when they're smiling, when they're completing something, and they know that they've hit the ball out of the park, that gives them joy and happiness. So, keep trying to find that balance of coaching, education, onboarding, and rewarding. People want recognition when they really hit the ball out of the park, and we achieve that by having you exceed expectations, and writing a review for a writer. That's really meaningful for them when you take just a minute or two to say, to write a review for them that could be publicly shared in the platform. That's very meaningful, and that's even more than giving them a tip or other such things, which you can certainly do, and they appreciate. But I do think that these buyer personas and the customer journey concept is going to have an impact on the quality of content at Writer Access. We're very excited to launch those. And imagine this, Adam, the next step, is to add a new kind of heat map that allows you to really look at performance and how you're creating content for the different stages of the customer journey and the different personas that you're creating content for. That's going to be really exciting, and we have some really cool ideas that we're baking up as we continue this even further to make sure you're touching every stage of the journey with some content. Even something simple like, imagine these were all 6 stages of the journey. How much content have we created? How many assets have we put through Writer Access where the buttons were checked off for these 6 stages of the journey? That's going to be important for you to see. And on that subject, and by the way, I'm talking to you, a writer, you know, so and a strategist, so you really know this stuff. So I'm preaching to the choir, um, but you know, there's a lot of excitement around content strategy and where it's all going, and we're hoping to lead that charge and help educate and acclimate people on where this industry is going and how we can make it exciting to track investments of content. And I mention investments because most people are putting content into lead generation, the front end of a customer journey, but we should really be putting content into post-sale and helping with word-of-mouth marketing, helping to educate our customers on different things after they've made the sale with us. Why? It's 4 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to retain a customer, right? So I think where I'm trying to go with both Content Marketing Conference, where we have really interesting theme this year for that May conference coming up, the art of content creation, the science of marketing performance, is finding this balance. Where are we putting money? You know, let's not lose sight of the importance of the artistic and creative value of content in its development of engaging things. We actually have a spin-off comedy marketing keynote series this year. We're going to have 10 keynotes that are all marketing professionals that are going to talk about, you know, inspire us all to create better work through these sort of TED Talk style keynotes we're doing. So it's going to be really, really exciting. You know, it's an exciting future for content marketing, what we're doing. Sorry for the soliloquy there, but obviously I'm fairly passionate about this stuff.
I love the passion. It is true. It's like also stuff that we're doing right now is just like, it's such a sweet spot. I mean, everyone needs content, and if you're a good writer, if you have a great interface like what you got, it's like it's I feel like there's some kind of expression like some bees to honey or some bees to flower. It's just really such a great time to do this. I mean, before I'm sure you have to do other things, but I just want to ask you, like, how did you, you know, your journey to this? I mean, you're an entrepreneur. You built this business. How did you grow it to this size where you're, you know, you don't have to, if you don't want to record this, you don't have to, but I'm just really curious, like, how you got to build this company so big and to, you know, get to who you are.
So, you know, I've started 4 companies, and I tend to get very excited and passionate about startups, and particularly when they're my own. And I've had incredible team members that I've been able to motivate and help along their career journey to grow and advance while participating in our own business growth. When those 2 things line up, when you can help younger people advance their careers doing things they love doing, and also help the business with their passion being put into it, to me that's the secret sauce of being successful in the 4 businesses I've started, and each of them was very successful. This last one, Writer Access, was kind of an interesting one. We were actually a full-service content marketing agency from 2005 to 2010, servicing customers like Walmart, the company store Brookstone, FTD on the B2C side, and on a B2B side, Salesforce, Iron Mountain. And our contracts with these customers were, you know, $20,000 to $500,000 in the course of 1 year. That's how much content we were creating for customers at that time. Our secret for that particular business wasn't just the content creation element of things. We pioneered a technology called another startup called Word Vision, which we didn't really sell to the public. It was kind of like our secret sauce in selling into these bigger companies. And that technology was literally pretty close to what you see on the screen right now, which was an ability to track how much content was being published, you know, what impact it was having on the business. So we went a little bit deeper with more like, you know, leads and attribution and some other things, but this was all back when no one knew what a content marketing agency was, and there weren't companies like Moz and other players around, you know, at that early time. There were a few around. Certainly analytics was hot back in those days, but not any that were sort of pointed at content and performance and competitive distinctions. So we got good at that, but we were very frustrated because we would go to shows that all of which you know, SEO, search engine, SEM and SMX and PubCon, and we would meet hundreds of people. They're like, you guys are doing great stuff, but I only have like, you know, a few $1,000s or 5,000 or 10,000. Sorry, they can't help you. So we said, you know, maybe there's a better way. Maybe we can take our 100 customers, roll them into this platform, which we called Writer Access, and see how they do, see if they like it. And what we did there was what the web was all about, which was kind of a disintermediation and knocking out the middleman from the player. Let the writers work directly with Walmart, you know. And it went pretty well because we've gone from 100 customers to 25,000, you know, so with a very, very small team. So, you know, we listen to our customers along the way, and Adam, that's what you do, and that's what I do, and you know, that's the key to success.
Right, that's great. I love that. I love the general idea of like lifting people up as being part of the business, and that's the kind of model that I want to try to build. Is like, because I was a writer in the content mills. I don't know if you remember Info Search Media.
Yes, of course.
I wrote about a 20th of their content. I wrote 10,000 pages for them.
Wow.
I've written almost 50,000 pages in 200 books and stuff like that. And you know, like I right now I have about 60 to 100 people, clients at any given moment. And I've stopped writing as much, but I mean, I can at this point I could write a book in a day. But wow. Like, you know, one of the things I realized in doing this in this content writing is just like, what if there's a better way where like the writers are treated well, they get recurring work, and they get paid fairly, and that like the clients get something that's really interesting and good, and you know, I can make money too. Like if you can create a system like that where everyone wins, I think it's just like you were saying, I think it's a recipe for people wanting the business to succeed.
Yes, and I think you're in the right space right now because, look, everyone can have content created, and certainly Writer Access is a platform where you can get lots of content created very quickly, but it's aiming content in the right direction. And I hope that's what you do and all the agencies that we work with, because, you know, that's what needs to happen. And, you know, it's not more content, it's better content aimed in the right direction that advances the true distinction from and the personality of the clients that look to you for that strategic advice. And it's part science too. You know, you need to, you know, optimization is very important for all of this, and going after the right, you know, certainly the right keywords, but it's much more than that now. It's the right angle, and it's the right, you know, engagement. It's optimizing the customer journey, and providing great educational information along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. And Byron, I so appreciate your time and taking us on this tour. And I feel like I love to see the recording, but actually now that you've shown me all these things, I feel like really comfortable talking to my editor about it. And I can obviously be in touch with Mandy and your team if there are any questions. But it seems like I'm just ready to dive in, and I've got a lot of stuff to sign, so I'm excited to get rolling now. Scale Terrific. It. I can.
Terrific. Well, do reach out with ideas. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Byron.
Right on.